What's happening, everyone? And welcome to El Chile Boxing Talk. We are back, and I got the homies with me as always. The YTBC legend. You can only find him here. Nopal Boxeanos. And, man, this guy's super knowledgeable. He's been riding with us for a long time. We got Georgie with Off the Ropes Boxing MMA. What's up, homies?
Good morning or afternoon.
And good afternoon, man. We did it. We decided it was time to get back together and talk about some shit. Bud has moved up to 154. He's a new champ, right? There's talks about him possibly facing Canelo. In the meantime, Canelo is getting all kinds of shit about maybe facing Crawford, getting all kinds of shit about facing Berlanga next. And, well, we feel like we need to give our take on it. So that's what we're going to do. We're here to give our take. We're back, baby. This is, it feels good to be back with the crew. We're still talking all the time in our group text, but as far as like on the screen, we're semi-retired, we're not going to make a big announcement about it, but, we're just kind of doing our own thing. That's why I got the duck up there, because I'm not paying to have the duck removed anymore. Porter, JC, what's happening, man? And Run PMC, our brother, is here. All right, Nopal, how you feeling, man?
Feeling good, man. I took a shot of some charanda last night, and that shit was pretty strong, man. One shot. Well, I guess it's a double shot, man, but I'm feeling really good.
Excellent. Well, let's get into it, man. Last night, we all saw it. Terrence Crawford beats Israel Madrimov to become a four-weight world champion. Okay, now let's talk about the fight itself. Georgie, did you like this fight when it was scheduled? What did you think about the fight, and did it play out how you expected it to?
Um, yeah. So, looking at it, it's his first fight moving up. It is an pretty unknown fighter in Madramov. Madramov, yeah. So not too many people knew of him. I didn't know of him until I saw his fight or his card. Yeah, or his fight on the Riyadh season. Like that was probably like a couple months back. So that was like my first introduction to him. It was he won a legit belt. Well, he won a vacant belt that Charlo dropped. So I can't remember whose opponent was that he got it from.
Nobody remembers. That's all right.
Yeah, nobody remembers, but I remember seeing it. I remember being pretty impressed. For his 9 fights, I'm like, okay, you know what, this guy can be pretty good somewhere and fight for the other belts. This was before Crawford's name is thrown out there, but we all knew that Crawford at the time was either waiting on Spence or his next move would have been 54, but no one really there was really no indefinite opponent. And when it was made, I was like, okay, you know what? Yeah, he's got 10 fights. He does have over 300 wins, not just 300 fights, but over 300 wins as an amateur. And we've seen some of the guys that come in with 300 plus amateur fights and wins. Like that's many rounds experience in the ring, whether it's professional or amateur. So like it counts, and it's just like sparring. Like the more sparring, the more comfortable you become you get in the ring, just as well as like the over 300 wins as an amateur. Like I said, it's his first fight on 154 against an undefeated guy. He does have a draw. It was less than, I mean, he did have 10 fights, but for his first fight at 154, I wasn't too bad. I wasn't too upset with it. I mean, we can go down the line and we could look at some of the guys' first fights coming up. Someone fighting a guy that might be, past their prime, a guy that was a has-been, maybe was a champion at one time. But this guy is unknown, but it showed that, just because you got 10 fights at the professional level, doesn't mean that you're inexperienced at all. But I was pleased with it. I thought it was a good opponent for him. I mean, I guess trying to find like some similarities in opponents that Crawford's trying to possibly face. Really don't know. I mean, we can't say he fought this guy because he fights similar to Canelo, because both guys really don't. But body type, I could say pretty similar.
All right. Yes, and you're right, Georgie. So with this, Bud has become a four-weight world champion. He joins an awesome group of people. He's in this new fraternity now, from 135 to 54. In our generation, you're talking guys like Mosley, right? He went from 135 went to beat De La Hoya in their rematch when De La Hoya was the lineal champion, right? We're talking about Floyd Mayweather. We're talking about Oscar De La Hoya. These are some impressive names. He's in good company. Nopal, how did you like Bud at 154? I mean, do you think he's a guy who can clean out the division? Does he still stand out as one of the best? What are your thoughts?
I don't know, man. I mean, I see nothing but negativity, really. I don't know if he's getting old or what the thing is, but it looks. I mean, him and the other guy to me look virtually identical in size. I don't know if the other dude is a natural 154 pounder, but I do know that Bud has been weighing in at about 155, rehydrating since he was at 135 to like 155. So I know that this is probably like his natural weight. And at 147, he pretty much looked like that was his weight, 147. But right here, I mean, like I said, I mean, I think that they were about the same size. And to me, yes, he won, but barely. And I don't know what this does for his career. Is he going to retire, or is he going to fight Boots? Is he going to fight Ortiz like Alice Shiki mentioned? That's a fight that they want to do, and I think those are his options basically. Or he could unify and go undisputed at 154 if he wants to keep going. But he looks to me like he's always not wanted to take a lot of punishment in his career, and he looks like he's gonna go. He wants to go through a more conservative route to whatever he wants to do. You can kind of see that he's fighting real conservatively. His footwork is just he's not trying to use too much energy. He's trying to let the guy come to him.
Right.
And you've been saying that for years, Chicano. That his footwork's not explosive or anything like that. You've been saying that for forever.
Well, so, yeah, I've been saying like, well, we don't know what it's been like since 140. Like at 140, he had really good footwork. I don't think, and he can still move good. You know what I mean? I'm not saying, but as far as like him being able to run, right? Like say he fought Canelo and had to run, I don't know if he could still do that. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, so I don't see that as an option being open. And by the way that post-fight interview went in the ring, he mentioned something about, also it's financial reasons why he wants to do it. He first said legacy. That's the show face right there. Yes, that would make him one of the GOATs if he did beat Canelo. Obviously, I mean, that would make him one of the greatest, probably, that would make his legacy really stand out. Because if you really look at it, I mean, he's headed to the Hall of Fame accomplishments, just in accomplishments. But then if you get a fine comb on his resume, then you see that there's really not too many. I don't see any Hall of Fame fighters on his resume. That's not his fault because there's none anyways that he can really fight. That's not really his fault. But then you also don't see too many times that he actually fought somebody that he wasn't already, like he had the better advantages of beating, like one of those 50-50 fights. A lot of people thought the Spence was, but I mean, I really never thought too much of Spence. I don't understand how he even got to the pound for pound list. It's all basically people trying to make money with that list, putting Spence there. I never thought he was anything special. Other people did, whatever.
A lot of people.
Yeah. Well, I think they were all stupid too. I think they were.
Come on, man. Everybody's got an opinion. I don't.
Yeah, but I think that they
so.
were fucking stupid, bro, for reals. Because
that's your opinion, bro.
I never saw anything special in Spence, and I always said it. This guy's just some regular dude beating up on little guys. That's it.
Be that as it may, he certainly was at least the number one and number two welterweight. He did clear out, his side of the street.
Yeah,
he's still on the pound for pound list.
Well, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I haven't seen his name there in a while. Who's posting his pound for pound list?
Wrong. Something's wrong with that, bro. Obviously, if
no ball, are you out there finding lists to get mad at No Ball or what?
Yeah, who posted this? Is this like someone's Facebook or Instagram?
Is it? I gotta see this. He says, "I thought Spence was good. Damn, I feel attacked." Well, here's the thing, bro. And G-Style and I were talking about this, man. Like,
I thought he was nothing but hype, bro.
Even if he thought so, bro, it's nobody expected Crawford just to go in there and just mow this guy down, knock him down like off a jab in the first round. Like that doesn't happen, right? How is it that Madramov won more rounds? Okay, I want to know. Like he won more rounds, right? Like Georgie, You're probably the most pro Crawford guy here. I mean, is that fair to say?
I'm pro anybody I think that looks good. It's not just Crawford because I know I do mention his name a lot in the chat. So
yes.
I mean,
Here though, right here.
I guess so. I guess I could say I really like what I see from Crawford. You know, I like Crawford. There's other fighters I could say that are up there. I don't just like pick one guy and stick to that one guy.
I know that, Georgie. I know that. I like Crawford too, man. All I'm saying is that what I want to know from you is this: how many rounds did you give Madramov?
Dude, there was honestly. This was a very competitive fight, and it's nothing that Crawford looks old because Crawford didn't look old. Like you guys got to give a credit to Madrimov as well. He is like he said it in the post conference too. I mean, in the ring when they interviewed him, he said he was expecting him to come in a little bit wild. He was trying to set traps. His footwork is very underrated. I think Madrimov, like he like they said, quick footwork. They were both. It was like a high level chess match. Like they were kind of like trying to expose each other, trying to make openings happen. Nothing really happened. And before Sean Porter, I think maybe like the second or third round said something about they're resetting. I'm thinking in my mind like, damn, these guys are having to constantly reset. Every time they come in, they're trying to create an opening. Stop. Like feint. Head movement. Change levels. And then it's reset. It's because they're both trying to figure each other out. So it's not that Crawford looks old because we've seen guys that look like they've aged. We got to give it to Madramov too. Like Madramov is good, even though he has 10 fights. He's unknown. Like imagine if he had the push that Lomachenko would have had. Like people would have been like, "Wow, oh my god!" Like Madramov. I think Madramov could be anybody in that one at 154, even with if Jermell ever comes back. I think Madramov would be really good. I even would like to see. His name was thrown out there. I was like watching a couple of shows where see what him and Boots do, and people were like, "No, let's don't throw Boots in there yet." Against
what
Madrimov.
are the realistic fighters at 154, George? Just Boots.
I think
there's
Virgil
Boots. There's Virgil Ortiz. There's Tim Zhu.
Yeah,
I think both those guys beat Madrimov in my opinion.
That's a pretty good landscape, then, man. That'd be good to get somebody to try to go undisputed at that weight class. It ain't like. Because I know that, like I was telling you guys in the chat, bro, what's Bud's next option if he wants to head and fight Canelo?
I think
he's got to probably see, who's that other guy at 160? Janabek. You know what I mean? On his way up. So I don't think that he makes it. He gets passed through Janabek.
Who doesn't?
I don't think Crawford can get
no.
past Janabek.
No, I think this is what I saw. Okay, like to me, like Madrimov, I watched a couple of his fights right before. I had never seen him before. Then I saw two of his fights. This is a guy who I think is he looks very sturdy and solid at his weight division, right? He's got a nice 154-pound frame.
He's super athletic too, man.
Yeah, he is.
I think he's okay. I don't think that he goes through the division. I think the division's already been cleaned out, essentially. You got a lot of people who are coming in the bottom top 10, which is what he was. It's like that because you have people like Jermell Charlo fighting all kinds of dudes who were there when 154 was a much more established division. Now it's got a lot of like untested people like Tim Zhu. Like, well, we really didn't know about him, and we got to see who he faces. And then Fondora, well, we don't know. Was that? You know what I mean? Like to me, it's already been cleaned up. It's easy for this guy to be maybe the champ, but the division's already been cleaned up. He inherited a belt, not his fault, right? And Crawford. Yes, he fought for a paper title, in my opinion. This fight, in my opinion, I feel like everybody's really okay with just giving Crawford all kinds of credit for this fight. Like, I didn't really think this was all that big of a fight, in my opinion. People are trying to give Crawford a little bit too much respect for this win. I think it's okay. I think that Crawford was supposed to win this fight. I think that Crawford, and I don't, this is just my opinion, Georgia, but this is what's good about El Chile. We can have differing opinions and still be friends, man. Like, I think he did look older, man. And I agree with Nopal. Like, he looked a little gun shy, in my opinion. He did a really good job of kind of keeping it in range, also keeping up with that southpaw stance, making it hard for Madramov to land with his overhand hooks, So I thought he did a good job, but like when he was trying to answer, like I didn't sit there and go like, oh man, he's starting to fuck up Madramov. Like I think it was calculated because Madrimov was just too big, right? I think that the Spence fight with Crawford was a bit of an illusion, right? I think that we just thought he was just gonna go in like he's just some dominant dude.
Yeah.
He's never won fights like that. Okay, this shows it. The Madrimov, I had it 7-5. Okay, but I could have seen it a little wider for Crawford. Maybe I could have seen it a draw. Like there was a lot of early rounds where not much was going on. Okay, I felt like there was a lot of posturing, a lot of like, well, they're kind of in the pocket, but when one tries to move forward, the other one backs up and vice versa. Like I thought it was a boring fight. The only reason I would watch this fight again is if Crawford versus Canelo was official and I wanted to see, Crawford at a higher weight. That's probably the only reason I would watch this fight again. I don't think Crawford was that strong. I mean, physically, don't get me wrong. This guy's physically very strong, but his punching power, to me, it didn't look like it was there at 154. And I want to talk about this, man. I want to give a shout out to Philly Irish, Drew Evo. He says, I think the dude beats everybody but Bud at 154. Like, I mean, maybe I'm tripping, but I have been right about things before too. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel how I feel. You know what I mean? So Crawford's getting all kinds of credit. He goes up, fights a top 10 guy who has a paper title, right? Like, I just think it's interesting how everybody's just so okay with it. I got it. I'm good. I get it. Everybody gets it. It's like, well, when Canelo was going up in weight and fought a Reggie Belt champion who was top 10, okay, at 168, Rocky Fielding, people throw that in his face like it's a cardinal sin, right?
Yeah.
He was top 10, top 8 in certain rankings all across the board, ESPN, BoxRec, you name it, Ring Magazine. But Crawford does it. Oh, man, just so much understanding, right? So much damn understanding, you wouldn't even believe it. But for some reason, Canelo doesn't get the same type of respect when he has to move up in a weight class. Crawford does it. Fucking, it's flowers. Where's his flowers? That's how I feel, man. But what I want to talk about now is like, okay. With that, we've learned that Turkey Al-Sheikh said, I made Canelo an offer. He needs to take this fight in February if it's going to get made. Canelo versus Crawford. Is it still feasible? I want to know if this fight is still feasible. Georgie, what do you think?
Oh man. Real quick. I do agree with JC down there at the bottom with the got to be active. Cause I mean, he's 36, right? You got to keep it. I mean, he does take care of himself really well. So he doesn't drink, doesn't do anything outside of being a professional, no kind of trouble. But, damn, after watching the fight, I was like, right there, it gives you a reason why it shows you why you need, why there's weight classes for a reason, right? Again, styles make matchups. Canelo, we know, like he's very good in the pocket. He doesn't bob and weave like he used to as much. Like he still does have really good head movement. He has what I really like that I've noticed what he does is like he keeps his hands out. He takes a lot of shots off like the forearms. He parries really well now. So it's really tough to say right now. Like I haven't gone back to rewatch the fight because I did buy it last night. So the only one I watched again was the Andy Cruz because I didn't get a chance to watch that. But I'll probably go back and rewatch it again. But after watching it last night, I'm like, okay, I know everybody was like, yeah, Crawford. And I wasn't saying that Crawford's gonna beat Canelo. I was like, why not? Why not? What is there else? Benavidez isn't gonna happen. But I said realistically, if he's gonna fight Crawford and Canelo, if Crawford's gonna fight Canelo, it can't be next. He doesn't have very much time. It's got to happen within. I said months back that it has to happen within like 2 years. But again, Crawford's 36. We don't know if he's going to end up having a fight where it's a war. Yesterday wasn't a war. It was more of a mental wear down on both guys because both guys weren't really doing much. But right now I'm going to say no. Realistically, not. And speaking from a fan of Crawford and Canelo, because I wouldn't want to see Canelo fight Bud right now because we know the majority won't give Canelo 100% credit. They'll be like, okay, yeah, he beat Crawford, but there's going to be so much shit behind it. And same thing with Crawford goes and fights Crawford. I mean, Crawford goes fights Canelo. And be like, well, we expect you to lose because you were definitely the way smaller guy. But I'm gonna say no. I don't want to see it. I mean, there's more than just fighting Boots. There's more than fighting Ortiz at 154. He could fight like another 2 more years, maybe. And we know Al-Sheikh keeps his guys busy. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. He didn't directly say like, yeah, let's make this happen right away. He was like, look, I'm going to go on vacation, whatever, and kind of talk things over with my camp. But he says, I would like to make it for my legacy and money. But I just think 154, maybe I wouldn't want to see him touch 160. I think 154, I mean, the talk should probably go away, because I mean, I could see him getting his third division at undisputed, and this would be the best division that he's done being undisputed at, from 140, 147, and 154, because there's notable guys at 154 as well as guys that are actually really good.
I agree. Okay, so before this fight, I said, oh, Crawford deserves this fight. It's for the generation. Okay. But in my mind, I had Canelo winning that fight with a challenge, right? But Canelo was going to win because of his size, because of his power, because of his countering ability, because of his punch selection. There was a lot of reasons, right? Crawford had some things going for him, right? Just like Canelo has certain things going for him. And yes, size does make a difference, and I was confident that Canelo was going to beat Crawford. I felt that way ahead of time, okay? Now, if you're paying attention to everybody, like in the YTBC or Twitter, there's been a lot. For some reason, the Crawford and the Canelo fans, for some reason, they turned on each other when I think, it used to be that Canelo and Crawford fans were kind of on the same page. Like, these guys were far apart. They respected the grind, how long they've been around, how many divisions they've conquered, right? I mean, there's a lot of parallels between these two guys, right? They both have multiple lineal championships. They're multiple weight divisions, right? They've been around, like, we've known these guys since we were young men, right, George? Like, shit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we've known these guys for a long time now, right? So, and they're the ones that are kind of still standing and still at the top, right? I mean, these are the two guys, you know what I mean? But I always felt like, come on. And then, the Crawford fans are getting a little chippy, talking just a little bit too much shit. I've heard, and I'm talking about big content creators, and I was upset to see, like, one, I don't know if these content creators are just kind of like busy, just like to take a stance just to piss people off. But, I saw one guy say, no, Canelo fans are scared of Crawford. Like, why are they scared? Why are they scared? Like, I personally don't know anybody or think that there's anybody who's like a Canelo fan who's like secretly scared of this fight. No, I'm not scared of this fight. When I heard that, and there were odds. Crawford was a 2-1 underdog, right? Canelo was a 2-1 favorite. And if I was going to get those odds, I was going to drop the house on it and feel good about it. I was surprised. Okay. I was ready to jump on those odds. I don't know any Canelo fans who are scared of this fight, dude. Crawford, bro, come on, dude. He's barely winning fights. Madramov, say he was the best in the division. Okay. Okay. Now, like, the guy hasn't fought anybody, got a paper towel. Now all of a sudden he's the best in the division. Okay. Let's go with that theory. Okay. He's still, Crawford, maybe won like 7-8 rounds, maybe. It was a close fight. So you're saying this relatively untested guy who's never fought at the elite level, who might be the best guy, but we don't know because, well, the real champion's already been established. He cleaned up the division and then he's left or is on a hiatus. I'm talking about Jermell Charlo. Okay. What are we supposed to think here, right? That Crawford can move up 2 weight classes and fight the undisputed champion and hang, especially after that performance. I mean, give me a break. I think the Crawford fans had been a bit delusional, and now everybody's backpedaling this fight. Like, no, we shouldn't see this fight. We shouldn't see this fight. Even the PBC Colt is out there saying, like, hey, man, stop talking about this fight. Like, this is all wrong for Crawford. He's going to go in there and get beat up. Like, I'm trying to tell y'all to shut up. Don't try to push this fight. Don't act like Crawford can win this fight, right? So they're having their own little internal struggle. No, Paul, what do you think about all this, man?
I don't know, man. I don't even think the fight's on the table anymore. Turkey for sure saw that and was like, let's stop talking about it because, Crawford has no chance, basically, and everybody can see that. Luckily for us, we got a guy like Canelo who doesn't just take advantage of every situation that he can. And we all know if he wanted to take easy fights, he could do a couple fights like Jake Paul and just rake in the money, man. We should be appreciative of that. Anybody else, if it was Floyd Mayweather, he'd be really taking the easiest fights, man. I mean, just some easy ass fights that he has no that he'd just be making money and shit. But yeah, I mean, I don't even think that fight's possible. And the whole landscape of everybody talking shit, I mean, it's the same old shit on YouTube, bro.
It is. And it's my fault that I'm listening, bro.
We know these guys for years. We know their money-making agenda, and we know their race hustling agenda too. And it's the same old shit. Sometimes it is funny, though.
Yeah.
It is. Okay, so 92 Aku Caballero, what's happening, man? He says, yeah, I thought Bud could beat Canelo, but not after this fight. Yeah, dude, you think this guy's just going to go up to 168? Like, come on, man. Like, Madrimov looked bigger than him. and Canelo's much bigger than Madramov, dude. And bro, okay, besides like that thing Madrimov did with this fucking like I don't know his feints or whatever you call him, like that's maybe the only thing I could think of that Madrimov might do better than Canelo. I can't think of one thing where I'm like, oh, but Madrimov has him in this category. Like we're talking about a pound for pound fighter at 168. Like Crawford would get creamed, but if they wanted to do it, I mean, it's their business. You know, I think Turkey's coming at Canelo all wrong. Okay, I've talked to D-Style about this too. You know, like we have this theory that like he wants Turkey wants Canelo to submit, right? He all this dude does is go and kiss the ass of heavyweights, and everybody in boxing is kissing Turkey's ass in return. Okay, he's out there holding hands with people, right? But for some reason, he's never really endeared himself to Canelo. He's telling Canelo like, "Oh, you know, we're gonna eat him for UFC 300," which I think is stupid. Like, say you love boxing, okay? What are you doing sponsoring UFC 300 on the Mexican date? Like, doesn't it behoove you to think about that? Like, why are you allowing them to make a move and to sponsor them, and then have a problem when the boxer tries to go on the boxing date on his date? Like a Mexican, like to me, like it comes off a little arrogant, right? But maybe he's used to that. I mean, he is a guy who's associated with a very elite royal family, right? So I mean, he's probably used to getting his way, thinking his way about certain things. But Canelo's not dependent on making Turkey Al Sheikh's money, right? So Canelo can, like he's done here, do what he wants and make his own money, right? And so he's sitting here saying this. Turkey Al Sheikh saying, like, I've made him an offer. This fight needs to be in February, if I heard right. Okay, I'm like, okay, well, it needs to be in February. Well, you know, Canelo tries to fight in May. Like, who are you to dictate when this fight needs to take place? And why so long from now? Like, to me, I always thought, well, if that fight happens like December, January, if Canelo fights in February, there's no way he's going to be ready in 2 months to fight in May. So you're just throwing yourself around. You know what I mean? Like, it's just annoying to me. He's a little bit arrogant, and I think he doesn't like Canelo. And, you know, he's worried that, you know, that Canelo's going to, if you don't have Canelo, then you don't have the face of boxing. That's my opinion. And I think he really wants to have full control. And Canelo doesn't have to go up there and go, oh, give me His Excellency, blah, 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 just like everybody else. You know what I mean? Canelo doesn't have to do that, so he doesn't. And so now they have like this little thing. But maybe they'll come out and mutually agree to respect each other after all this. What do you think, Georgie?
Yeah, I think money will make people do anything. Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter the price. But Turkey was in this, from what I remember, was from the beginning. Well, with heavyweights, right? Like you said. So we saw the fights that weren't being made at heavyweight along, and then also there was the Better Beef and Bivol. I don't see a problem with what he's doing for boxing. But as far as, you know, sponsoring the UFC, I thought months back before Canelo said he was gonna fight on September, that it was already kind of like set in stone that UFC and Turkey Al Sheikh joined together. And then I think like in February, UFC pretty much took that date. So I mean, I get it. You know, UFC is competing with boxing. They've always competed, and I've always said there's tons of Mexicans as well in UFC. You know, I think there's more than there has been in a while. MMA in general is a big growing sport in Mexico. So, and it's all over. I mean, I don't see an issue with it. I mean, I get it. It's Canelo, but I mean, why not? Why stop it there when you can actually grow it bigger? You know what I mean?
Well, I agree with you in the sense that, yes, UFC does have Mexicans. UFC is certainly entitled to do whatever they want. My point is, you got Turkey Al Sheikh, who says, my great love is boxing. And you also have business with Eddie Hearn, who's also associated with Berlanga, right? We're going to talk about that here in a second. Like, to me, it just doesn't make sense for him to like move in on, to help the UFC move in on that date.
Yeah, I think we're too used
to money. No, and it's like, and you know, maybe they announced their intention, but I mean, don't we already know Canelo's intention? Like, to my knowledge, the only time he's never fought on the Cinco de Mayo weekend. Sometimes the September date is a little flexible. He's always fought on Cinco de Mayo unless he's injured, right, or under a lawsuit or something like that. Or PBC extends some kind of like negotiations. Like, he's always fought in May. We know this. Like, it doesn't take a genius to know when boxers fight Cinco de Mayo weekend. Like, to me, like, it's just kind of a given. We all know it's Canelo's date. That's just how I feel about it. I want to give a shout out to Bruce Gass, Boxing Jazz, and more. George, you got anything else you want to say about this, brother?
I think we're just so used to the whole, you know, one fighter sticking to that one promoter and not opening, or, you know, not doing business with other people. I think that's kind of the same thing right here, right? Like, he's just trying to join them all together. At the end of the day, business, when business happens, you know, there's no such thing as like okay, I'm not gonna go out of my way. I'm not gonna go do this behind your back. It's more like, look at business is business. Like, I guess to me, it's like the whole mentality of business. Like you're gonna, whatever happens in business is, I guess, the way it goes.
I get it, bro. No, Paul, you got any final thoughts on this whole like Canelo Crawford, His Excellency, before we move on, man?
Yeah, I just want to say, who the fuck is this guy? What has he ever done for us?
Right.
Where did he come from? First of all, who is he again? I'd like to see some good things before I induct him into the Hall of Fame. I don't like what he's doing with over there with Dana White. The UFC doesn't need any help from him to make it to do what they continue to do. They don't need him at all. Why is he even over there? They can do their thing without him. Dana White's a straight up clown, trying to say this is a love letter to the Mexican people, bro. The guys that are headlining this event are not Mexican. You got a Spaniard on there.
O'Malley.
A white dude with a pink LGBT fro. Come on, man. That's a freaking joke that you say that it's a love letter to the Mexican people, bro. Come on, get the hell out of here. You're just, really, there's not too many Mexicans over there, I guess, that he could put on there. But at the same time, don't make it about trying to use Mexicans for that type of stuff. We know that's Canelo's date. Luckily for us, I don't think they're probably just going to blow a bunch of money over there and not see a return. I don't know if people are even going to buy that fight. I mean, some people will, but, I'm glad that they're going to fumble this one, because then we're going to be watching boxing over here anyways.
That's
it is
true.
what it is.
I mean,
It
that's
is what
a
it
great
is.
point. And that's the other thing too. Like, yeah, who the hell is this guy? You have like the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame inducting him. Like, first off, like, you're kind of an upstart Hall of Fame. It's the International Boxing Hall of Fame is the real Hall of Fame. But say, okay, Nevada, you want to have your own little Hall of Fame. Well, it's like, oh, because of what you did, here you go, honorary. I was like, well, what is this? Okay, how many? I mean, yeah, this guy's giving us some good fights, but I mean, but what fights has he even done in Nevada? He's been
What fights is he gonna do? Anyways, look, he's supposedly coming in here to make fights happen that couldn't else happen because of the money aspect. Guys don't want to work with each other, but so far the only fight that I see that he's gonna be able to make, if it even happens, if people aren't injured, is Bivol and Beterbiev. That's the only fight. What other fight? Would it have been a problem to make? Because Pitbull and Rayo, I mean, that was a cool fight, but it wasn't like there's better other ones. You know what I mean? What other fights is he going to be able to make? Nobody fucking wants Canelo versus Crawford. That's some fucking freak show fight right there. That's not even a normal fight that a boxing fan would ask for, bro. So what fights is he? What fights are left to make, man? Most of them are out of the way now.
Well, and D-Style made this point too. He was saying that Turkey, His Excellency, had some kind of arrogant comment about like the Ring Magazine's pound for pound list is like, we need some real pound for pound, like da da da. I was like,
he does. I don't think he knows as much about boxing as he's making it to.
Exactly.
To sound, because
like, who's he to say anything?
Just the fact that you were backing Crawford to actually fight Canelo, bro. You should be smart enough to know that he'll get killed in there. Canelo still got okay footwork, bro. He can maul down Crawford like nothing, man. I mean, and people think that we're these irresponsible ass fans too that just want the best for Canelo. Nah, bro. I mean, that'd be an easy ass fight if we were like, and people. I guess the Canelo fans get a lot of hate because everybody acts like we just want the easiest fights and we just want, what the fuck, bro? We've been the most flexible fans basically in boxing history, man. We haven't really wanted him to take these easy ass fights,
Well, that's that's a great segue, No Paul, because yes, Canelo fans have been taking the most heat. Before that, I want to give a warm shout out to the Shoe Shine Boxing Dave from the 702. He hosts an awesome Monday night show with our homie Drew Evo, both from the Shoe Shine. Okay, now we do get a lot of hate, bro, and I wear this hat to make a point. Okay, I wear the gear to make a point. There's nothing wrong with being a Canelo fan. A few years ago, maybe this is getting on, or 4 years ago, I was the first one to come out and go like, what the hell is wrong with being a Canelo fan? And keep in mind, this was at the time when he had just finished being he was at 160. He had just unified for 3 belts, beating Jacobs. And there was still like this stigma, like you couldn't root for him. I was the first one to say, right? I came out and said, this was after Pacquiao retired. I said, Canelo's got the best resume in boxing. And then everybody finally looked at it. I was the first one to say Canelo needs to start being considered as an all-time great. Me and Nopal were the first ones to start saying that, because before that it was uncool. There was a stigma, and they tried to suppress. They tried to keep their foot on the neck of the Mexicans. But you could be a casual like in Canelo too. But they try to keep the foot on the neck of the Mexicans from rooting for one of the best fighters, the best fighter of this era. It was ridiculous. So we said, what the hell is wrong with us rooting for Canelo? Okay, and the reason we're Canelo fans, right? And you got a lot of people like this, right? Who do this whole like, well, I didn't, just so everybody knows. I didn't like Canelo until this fight, and then I got respect, right? And I gave him respect from him. But I mean, I have that moment too. I think we all have that moment. I didn't like Canelo. I was actually a Canelo hater until I came around, right? But everybody like wants to like excuse why they like Canelo. And now, right, we're talking about Canelo versus Berlanga, and well, people are having a fit with this one too, and everybody's so proud of themselves, waving that they have a problem with this fight, right? And now they're like, oh, I used to roll with Canelo, but now I just can't do it anymore. Give me a break, okay? I think people are being way too dramatic about this fight, okay? The fight's being made. I'm not saying you got to like it, but people are taking this shit way too seriously. This fight's going to be over in 5 weeks. I want to kick this back to Nopal, because Nopal's more militant, and I want some backup here. Then we'll get to Georgie. Go ahead, Nopal. What do you got to say?
And all I got to say is just sit back and enjoy this, man. These damn Puerto Ricans have been talking shit about us forever.
You got that
Every
right.
time it's a Puerto Rican versus a Mexican, people have to realize the difference here is these people have always thought of us as lower human beings, man. They think their culture is better than ours. And, it's a humble thing with us. Our culture started, BC, homie? If you don't know what that is, go get a book. You know what I'm saying? Man, let's not even get in. Nah, I'm just kidding, man. I didn't mean none of that.
No, I know. Me too. I'm just getting carried away.
I love Puerto Rican people,
I love the
bro.
Boricuas, man. I love the Boricuas. We do.
Especially the Puerto Rican hyenas, man. They're the best.
Yeah.
And just enjoy the fight, man. And to the Puerto Ricans out there, just sit back and enjoy it, man. Berlanga actually has a pretty good chance of winning, man.
Okay, come on, Nopal. Come on now. Let's try to have a real conversation.
Come on, man. According to Cano Loco, he's got a good-ass chance, bro.
I love Cano Loco Sports. I've been listening to him for a long time. He's rolling with Berlanga. Good for him, man. I like seeing somebody stay on code. Georgie, do you have any opening statements before I keep cooking?
No,
George,
I mean,
pretty much. We didn't give George any room now.
No, you can speak your mind. The fight sucks. George, you don't like the fight.
I don't. And
that's what
I mean, I feel like there was more guys at 168, even though 168 isn't as deep as it used to be. Because at one point at the big last year, we're like, damn, 168 is getting hot, right? And Billy's name is thrown out there. Munguia, he got the fight. Let's see, I mean, Benavidez, but we all know what happened there. And I even think that even if Benavidez would have maybe petitioned, I don't think he would have got that fight. There's got to be a reason. I mean, other than people saying he used Canelo's name for clout. I mean, if that's the case, I mean, damn, that's pretty shitty.
What do you think could have stopped it after him petitioning? Because if you go back in history, like you can see that way back in like 2015 or 2016, Triple G they freaking put him in line to fight Canelo to the point where they were bold enough to even just because they weren't able to negotiate. I don't know whose fault that was, but they weren't able to negotiate a good deal on that fight, so they stripped Canelo because of that. I mean, that was set back then. What is that, like 8 years ago? That's really all you got to do to get the fight with the WEC. Just follow the rules and all that, petition, and they'll give you the damn fight. And in this case, I don't know what would have happened if they would have paid Benavidez what he wanted, but that's all he really had to do. It's not a hard process. He's got some of the best lawyers in the business. He's got Samson right there helping him out. So there's got to be a reason why they didn't petition it, bro. And I don't like that excuse when they say, hey, even if he would have did it, they still wouldn't have gave him the fight. But I at least want to hear an excuse why that fight wasn't made.
Only they really know. Yeah, only they know.
And I like to see the guys go through the process at least.
No, but that's a great point. Like, what is the reason? The WBC came out and said, like, he can choose to stay at 168 or stay at 175, and he could be the mandatory. And then he just goes to 175. And you're right, no, Paul. People are saying that exact same thing. Like, oh, well, it wouldn't have mattered because Canelo wouldn't have fought him. But like, why did David stay at 175? Like, there, like you said, let us hear the reason at least, right?
I
But
think the reason why he went to 175 is because it put him in line for the mandatory right between Beterbiev and Bivol, and also he was also promised from Suleiman after the Plant fight that one of them two would have been the mandatory immediately for Canelo. So I think that's the other thing for me is he said it at a convention. Samson asked him, very respectfully. He didn't like try to shout. He just wanted an answer. He said that he will, the winner between Plant and Bivol and Benavidez would get the rematch. And Plant was also on record, right? He was like excited. He wanted another shot at Canelo. I think for him to go to 175 the first time, he stay busy, right? Isn't that what he said? Stay busy. He fought Plant. He fought Andrade. He fought against Bosdick at 175. That was another stay busy fight. But I think that was the reason why he wanted to go to 175, so that way he put himself as a mandatory between two good fights. And I think just choose between both of them. Again, we really don't know what goes on behind these closed doors when it's business. I mean, that's why there's so much great content, right? You have people that are on the side of Canelo. There's some people that are on the side of Benavidez. And no one really knows. I mean, like you put a lot of good facts out there. Paul, you guys do. A lot of Canelo fans put a lot of good facts out there. And he fought Triple G. I mean, what makes us think that it won't happen again? And my thing is, but quick to fight, Munguia after like two fights at 168. Berlanga really hasn't done much. We know that. It's supposed to be Puerto Rico versus Mexico, but believe me, the Puerto Ricans and Drew knows the Puerto Ricans. They do love Berlanga, but they're not like all the way back behind it. And
they were back in the day, right?
Back in the day, because nobody really knew exactly where he was going. I think everybody's question is he's knocked out 17 guys in the first round. Okay, let's see him. Let's finally step up. He finally steps up. He gets dropped and barely wins. And then after that, he doesn't get another knockout until his last fight against McCrory. And then even then, like people still weren't too impressed with that performance. And in that fight, he was mandated. What is it? Is it the WBA? I don't remember what sanctioning it was that automatically the winner of that bout would have been the mandatory in that division. It might have been IBF. I'm not too sure. But I think it's just a lot of going around. And like I said, I don't know. I could sit and speculate and ask myself this and wonder why. Did John Ryder sign a petition? Did he petition? Did Berlanga petition? Did Munguia petition? We don't know, but we just know that these fights were made. I mean, if he make those fights that easy, why is it that he can't make this one, but still ask for 200 mil? Dude, if it was that easy.
Well, here's my thing. I also want to know why Benavidez has such a problem with this fight. When he was trying to make there's a video of him getting a haircut, getting the fade, right? And he's like, we're trying to make the Berlanga fight. Man, that'd be a hot fight, right? Canelo fights him, and this fight's a disgrace. Now, I'm not defending this fight. Like, I personally
think with the whatchamacallit, it's almost like he told Canelo.
Oh, he tried to fight. Benavidez also tried to fight Munguia, right?
Yeah, same fights, but when it's you, I mean, now Canelo fought him, and man, that fight's dog shit. He's spitting in your face type. Come on, bro. You were doing that
because we know that Canelo has. Yeah, we just know that Canelo has more he has more say so in his career rather than with Benavidez. And when Benavidez did say either Berlanga or Munguia, they were like, "That's a shitty fight." They were dogging him, and not just that people were dogging that the Berlanga and Benavidez and the Munguia and Benavidez, like, oh, what have they done that they haven't done really nothing at 168? And then those are the two next fights that happen. So
here's the thing, I'm hoping that you're right, Georgie, that Benavidez decides to just go right up, make his own path. But to me, it seems
hold
on, no, Paul. It seems to me like Benavidez, right, is completely dependent on attaching himself to a bigger name, just like his fanboys. That's what I think. I think it's very possible, but I hope I'm proven wrong, man. Because you know what, it'd be nice to have another Mexican, right? I mean, although if we're talking about, if we're gonna get into this, Berlanga, he's talking about how he's Puerto Rican. We got an American-born, half Mexican, half what is he? Ecuadorian in Benavidez,
Dominican, all kinds of shit. Yeah,
claiming that he's the Mexican monster. That's okay, but Berlanga claiming that he's Puerto Rican. That's a big problem, and I do want to talk about that, because there seems to be this real problem. And Georgia, you were talking a little while ago. People have come out and they seem to have a real issue, right, with this whole Mexico versus Puerto Rico marketing. Okay, now there's a lot of wannabe business insiders on YouTube, but let's pretend like we're part of the marketing team all of a sudden for PBC. Okay, we got the big chair and we're sitting in it. Great. Okay, so now you've seen with Ryan Garcia versus Tank Davis, it was about who's the face of boxing with that one. With Crawford versus Spence, they said who's pound for pound. Okay, now Georgie, if you were put in charge of this marketing, okay, and you had Canelo versus Berlanga, how would you market it?
I mean, there's only one way, right? It's the obvious. You got Mexican and Puerto Rican. That's the only angle there. But the thing, right? Fights nowadays, you see like it. So the only big name here we see is Canelo, right? Berlanga, hardcores knew who he is. They're not impressed with him, right? Same thing with hold on. So like Ryan Garcia, Tank Davis, right? No one really. The hardcores never gave Ryan Garcia really any kind of chance. People knew who Tank Davis was, hardcores and casuals. So that's the thing. Like Canelo, Tank Davis, Ryan Garcia, hardcores and casuals know these guys because they're really big in boxing, right? So that's how these things are going to sell. Like if we're going to sell this, because we know that casual fans, there's more casual fans than there is hardcore. So that's where okay, Tank Davis sold 300,000 with fighting Frank Martin, but when he fought with Ryan Garcia, he made another 600,000. There's another 600, maybe 800,000 pay-per-view buys because that was the casual. So here, like Canelo's going to be the only one that's going to sell this. I mean, the hardcores know Berlanga isn't shit. No disrespect, he hasn't really done nothing. And the casuals are going to be like, oh, Berlanga, he's a Puerto Rican and Mexican. Okay, you know what? That should be pretty good. But we know who Canelo is. So I think that's the only enticing thing is, of course, it's going to be the Mexican versus Puerto Rican. But when you speak to a hardcore or a person that really knows what's going on in boxing, like most of them aren't happy with this. Even like you said, there's been even some Canelo fans that aren't happy with this fight. So you're really not going to make. I feel like you're really not going to make too many people happy with this fight, regardless on how you try to sell this.
You're right, and I agree with a lot of that, man. This fight isn't. I don't like this fight. I don't think Berlanga deserves the fight. Okay, now. I'm not going to be happy that he's going to get paid, okay? But I've always wanted to see Berlanga get knocked the fuck out because he's been nothing but a hype job, okay? I was saying he was a hype job even during all those first-round knockouts, and that's when his name was attached to Canelo. I remember. I was there, right? He doesn't deserve this fight, but it is going to be satisfying to see him get knocked out. This fight's in like 5 weeks. We'll just get it past us. Canelo's been the champion. Or something like that, right? We're already in. Yeah. We're already in August, right? I mean, it's not that far away.
You better start putting money into that little piggy bank for the carne asada, bro, because I'm beyond.
Okay, so Jose Chavez, welcome. He says that Berlanga is a New Yorker.
Wait, Chicano, is that what you were trying to say? They're trying to say that Berlanga ain't Puerto Rican?
Yes, no, Paul. There's people have a big problem with Berlanga labeling himself as Puerto Rican. Okay, now Nopal, you and I've talked about what it's like, being a Mexican American or who's Mexican, who's not Mexican. Okay, why Nopal? I mean, that's a good question. They think, well, okay,
I didn't know the Puerto Ricans were doing that shit too.
No, it's not even Puerto Ricans. Actually, I know of a couple Puerto Ricans who have a problem with it, right? But it's more like other content creators sticking their nose in Boricua business, going like, well, this guy's never fought in Puerto Rico. Wasn't born in Puerto Rico. We're not even.
Cotto wasn't born in Puerto Rico, was he?
Supposedly in Connecticut. That's what I thought.
No me digas. Oh, come on, man.
Hey,
what about Margarito? Margarito was born in
California
too. Yeah, and he was the biggest freaking Mexican out there.
Yeah.
I mean,
where did he grow up at is another question, right? I mean, I know guys that were born in fucking Japan and grew up in USA and they were Americans, so
let's just say ignorance runs rampant in the Puerto Rican and Mexican community.
Well, it is,
when it comes to nationality, right?
Yeah. Not only does
just a label.
Berlanga, he has to deal with the crap from the outside, but there's probably this internal Boricua strife too about like what makes a Puerto Rican a real Puerto Rican, and that's a shame, because I think Mexicans have to deal with that too. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of identity crisis and fake feelings of superiority. I'll tell you, like I'm going to Mexico, and they treat white people over there better than they treat me. You know what I mean? I'm like, what's that all about? Actually, this could go deep. There's a lot of ways we could go with this. My point is, I personally think that, okay, like we said, if we had to be the marketing president for PBC and we got that job, okay, yes, we're going to market this as Mexico versus Puerto Rico, okay? I personally don't think there's anything wrong with this being Mexico versus Puerto Rico. Now, I want to show you guys a couple things here, okay? Now, remember, people are outraged about this. People who aren't even Boricuas are fucking pissed off about this, but I got a couple of examples that I thought were interesting, right? Let's talk about it. I'm going to show you guys. Okay, now I want to bring it to your attention, right? Olympians representing a country that they weren't born in. It happens more often than you think, okay? Country hopping isn't just for travelers anymore, but for Olympic athletes as well. In the 2018 Olympics, roughly 6% of the athletes, or 178 Olympians, are competing for a country they weren't born in. The only requirement, so you don't even have to have the blood, right, is that the person be a national of the country for which he or she is competing, which means dual citizenship. If you want to compete, you go and get your dual citizenship and then represent that country for 3 years, right? Or sports, yeah, and then boom, I know Teofimo, and that's it. So you got people who don't even have to live there, just need to have the dual citizenship. Yeah, I'm cooking. What's up?
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
No, so you got people, right, who weren't even born in that country, don't have blood from that country, might not even speak the language. They slap on a dual citizenship, but they can go win a medal for that country. But if Berlanga wants to say, "Hey, I'm Puerto Rican," it's a problem. Get the fuck out of here with yourself. That's what I got to say. Georgie, go ahead, man.
Exactly.
That's hilarious. But we have one here in Tucson, actually, a guy that's doing that. Have you heard of Roman Bravo? He's the wrestler from Penn State. He was representing Mexico. Doesn't even speak a lick of English. You know, he's got a translator everywhere he goes. And I know it's because his uncle was my supervisor, and I still work on his crew, like on overtime. So he's telling me like all the cool stories about this. Is like, he's half black, half Mexican. He decided to represent Mexico because Mexico really doesn't have a good wrestling team. So he wanted to put Mexico on his back. You know, it's competitive. It's a little bit easier to make it to the Olympic team because there's really not very many wrestlers there in Mexico. But of course, in the USA, there's tons of it. But he represents Mexico in the Olympics probably here like in the next couple of weeks for wrestling. So
nice.
Yeah, you're right though. There is a lot of that. There's been Andy Ruiz, right? From I think he was born in California, representing Mexico. There's a couple of boxers that have done that as well. So I get what I get what you're trying to say. Like, who are anybody to say that Berlanga can't represent himself as Puerto Rican? I think what it is you can call yourself that, but are the people like, you know what? Okay, are they going to get behind you on that? Because not just because you're Puerto Rican, but you're the representation of a Puerto Rican fighter. Like, they're going to be like, this isn't our best fighter to represent Puerto Rico.
That's true.
That's the problem.
I'd be a little embarrassed having Berlanga represent me too. I don't like him, okay? I'd be worried if he was going to fight Canelo. Like, personally, I'd be like, oh, fuck, this guy's going to get wrecked. I wouldn't want him representing me.
That's probably what it is, bro.
That's exactly what it is.
I think that's what it is, bro, because just rewind to when this dude barely came out of nowhere. These dudes were in love with his ass. Even my boy Maestro, who used to live in some type of apartment building in New York, he was like, man, my neighbors freaking love this dude, you know? And I was like, well, he's a hype job, ain't he? I already knew it back then. I think he's a hype job, Maestro. He was like, I think so too. You know, these dudes were in love with Berlanga, but all of a sudden, you know, he's kind of been exposed because they're moving him slowly. And the guys that Berlanga claimed that he was going to knock out right away, I mean, he's having trouble with them. He's got his hands full with just regular dudes. So, you know, I think that's what's changed. And all of a sudden now they're trying to take his Puerto Rican citizenship away. The dude speaks Spanish, bro, but they're trying to take away his Puerto Rican card just because he's probably going to get embarrassed versus Canelo. And man, that's just how it is, you know.
Here's another example I want to give, right? When we're just talking about, hey, what country do you represent and does it matter? And like, okay, let's talk about this. I'm talking about the Pope, El Papa, okay? I don't even know if that's how you say it in Spanish, okay? Do you know, Georgie?
I do not.
Okay, well, it shows how Mexican we are, right? But we're raza. I don't care what anybody says.
He's not Mexican, though.
No, he's not. But here's my point. The Catholic Church had a lot of pressure to bring out a South American Pope because there's a big presence in there, and hey, man, they deserve it because this church is fucking old, right? And we need to be a little fair, right? This guy gets voted in, right? His parents are born Italians. He happened to be born in Argentina because he fled. They didn't care about what country he was from there. They kept the blood over there. So let's bring this guy.
And you got 100 guys in line from Mexico waiting to be Pope, and they choose this fucking guy.
Right.
He's a foreigner already. He has no American blood whatsoever. And here we go with the same bullshit that they play, right?
Right, but he's from South America. Hey, he speaks Spanish well. Like, he's fluent. Obviously, he was born there.
Yeah,
right?
he's Argentinian.
But he's got that Italian blood from the Italian parents who came from old country. And so that's how they make a perfect appointment, right? To appease the South Americans, yet keep it Italian. You know what I'm saying? Georgie, I hope you're not Catholic, man. I'm not offending you over here. I'm not trying to say it was a political thing.
Right now. I'm so offended right now.
Hey, I'm just saying.
Even if I was, I wouldn't give a shit.
All right, cool. Because, it's all just love here. It's all love, and I like that we can all disagree with each other. My thing is just like I said, I think that people just need to get over themselves. If they're going to sit there and talk about like how people can identify, like what you have no place to tell Berlanga whether he can or cannot represent Puerto Rico when he's been doing it his entire career. But like Georgie, I do agree that it's more of an embarrassment thing with the Puerto Rican people. If they don't want it, I get why they don't want it, because they know Berlanga is going to get wrecked. I get that. But if we're talking about who's the best Puerto Rican at 168 pounds, well, then I guess that would be Berlanga, right? I mean, I can't think of a better Puerto Rican at 168 pounds.
What weight is Zayas fighting at? He's like 154, 160. He's going to be up there pretty soon, though.
He's fading out, bro. He's been a prospect for fucking forever, bro. I don't know. Well, and I like Zayas, but like, dude, I used to be high on him, and then I'm like, bro, I knew about him before I knew about some other fighters who are now like real contenders, and like he's still there, kind of like taking fights. I'm like, well, are you going to move up in quality of opposition or what? Yeah. That's how I feel about Zayas.
Sorry, what?
No, I'm wondering if I wonder if there's something they see of why they're not pushing him out there that quick.
Well, he's not as impressive as he used to be. I think maybe he's starting to lack power at the higher weight class. Like that's the other thing. Just like Berlanga, it's easy to start sparking out people when you're fighting people at a lower weight, like lower quality of opposition, right? Like with Berlanga, I'm like, yeah, okay, first round knockouts, but who are these guys? Like, this isn't going to stay like this forever, right? Sure enough, he's not knocking anybody out anymore, right? I mean, I saw that. It's like this when you move up in weight class. Look at Crawford. How many consecutive knockouts did he have? Not at 154, right? It is harder. Weight classes matter for a reason. Quality of opposition matters. And Xander Zayas, I maybe he might not be that next guy. I think he's got really good technical skills, but he might not have the power. Mm-hmm. He might need to, and I notice he likes to kind of be a banger, right? There's like these new Puerto Ricans that come out like Berlanga and Zayas, the Puerto Ricans, if we're talking, and we love them. We love the Puerto Ricans. If you're Puerto Ricans here, like if you're Puerto Rican here, great, man. But they're more of like a back foot people in the ring, like they're not necessarily like the big bruiser walk you down. Okay. That's just how I feel. They're typically more elusive, more of a boxer. Like they're not going in there like bang. And I think that's what Berlanga kind of does. I think Xander Zayas was trying to bully his opponents like that. That's just me from my perspective, and I say that with respect, I know how I feel like when people talk about, Mexican style, right? And they want to talk about, what people used to see on Telemundo like 20 years ago, two Mexicans just beating on each other. Okay. No. When I say Mexican style, I'm talking about the modern Mexican style, just like the modern Cuban style, which is past like the Lara style, but more of like we could talk about Cuban style here in a second. Cause actually I do want to get into the last card. One of the last topics I want to talk about with you guys. And, we could start it with this other guy that Canelo was supposedly avoiding, right? I don't know if anybody wants to talk like that anymore. David Morrell. Let's start with the David Morrell fight as we wrap things up. Okay, now David Morrell, he had a lot of hype. And I want to say, yes, I thought Morrell was probably the next big thing. I've been on record saying that I was very impressed with what I saw. I test at 168, but maybe it proves again that what I was just saying, it's about your level of opposition. He steps up in a weight class. I don't know, man. I thought he looked a little flat. Georgie, what'd you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. He looked flat. I think it just happens. It seems like they only work like on one thing that works for them, right? They don't take into consideration that plans can always change, especially in boxing. Like you never know what you're gonna have to face if you're gonna have. But he just kept looking for the same thing. He was very predictable. Hot Rod wasn't giving him anything at all. Like he was making it really awkward. He looked flat. And I was saying it too in the chat. I mean, yesterday in our little group text chat that out of the two, like between Benavidez and Morrell, like I think Benavidez probably rock his shit. Even though they both weren't very impressive, I feel like Benavidez gave us a little something different. I mean, you know, he said he had an injury, and there was even reports the week of the fight that he had like a cut over his eye that supposedly was going to be canceled. So there might have been a couple of things that you know were against him there. He did look like a cholo, man. That's funny. The Serbian cholo. So I mean, yeah, he didn't look too impressive. I mean, you know, can people be pretty harsh like on his you know, his one performance? You know, when aren't fans harsh or really critical? I like to give people some chances. Sometimes just as a former athlete, you know, I played baseball. Sometimes you have your really good days and you have your really bad days. But let's just kind of wait and see what his next fight looks like. You know, same thing like with Benavidez and Crawford, right? These are the first times coming up in weight. Yeah, they were dominating in the lower divisions, but as for Crawford, I think 154 is definitely his ceiling. I don't think he should go up anymore. And we've been saying like Benavidez could be fighting anywhere above 175 in the near future because he's a pretty big guy. Same thing with Morrell. So yeah, I thought he looked flat. I wasn't impressed. But let's just see what happens, man.
Yeah, man, I agree. I want to give a warm shout out to Nando Llamas, who's in the house now. He was there, man. He was there at the fights, dude. Looked like he really enjoyed himself, but it was hot out there, at least in the beginning. Hey, Nando, what was the total capacity? I'd love to know what your thoughts were on the capacity of the crowd, okay? And he also says that he goes, I was there with my woman, basically by myself, and I wasn't about to get caught checking out some vatos vieja. Well, that's half the fun of going to these fights is taking a look at all the viejas walking around. Come on, man.
Keep your shades on.
Me. Yeah, with the shades. You got to be smooth about it. But I mean, I love seeing all the Inas walking by, man. When we go to those fights in Phoenix, I'm like, oh, goddamn. You know, hope my girlfriend doesn't watch this. I'm just saying.
Master your peripherals.
There's some talent out there. You know what I'm saying? Nopal, what do you think about David Morrell in this fight?
He didn't look good at all, man. He was looking like $1 million at 168, but actually he looked better than Benavidez at 168. But
I thought so.
Now it evened out, and it looks like Benavidez will whoop on him, and I'm hoping that this is the route that I'm hoping for Benavidez because. You know, it'd be nice to have another great Mexican fighter, you know, at any weight class. And, you know, I mean, I'm tired of these fighters just trying to get paydays, shit like that. You're already making hella money, bro. Make yourself a good little legacy. Go ahead and fight Morrell and, you know, beat him and then slowly, you know, get your Bivol fight, I guess, later on. I don't think that fight's realistic. He keeps saying that he wants to fight Bivol or Beterbiev, but I don't think so, man. In the time, so why not fight the guy that you're supposed to fight, who is Morrell? You've needed to fight him since you were at 168. Why not, man? I mean, you talk about other people that have already proven themselves. Why don't you prove yourself? You know what I mean? And yeah, I didn't think Morrell looked too good. Maybe we need to see a little more. I mean, maybe we're being harsh.
Right.
It's only 7 pounds difference. I mean, it's not a lot, bro.
Well, it is. It's only 7 pounds difference, bro. And I find myself wondering, like, bro, like he still looked flat. Like, I'm like, well, dude, where was his crispness, bro? Like, where was his accuracy? Like, I mean, what did you lose your athleticism? Like, bro, like you still have to cut down to make this weight. Like, how could you look that flat? Like, I was shocked. Like, that's not.
And you're rehydrating to your normal weight, basically. I mean,
right?
Why? You know what I mean? Why do you look so bad?
Right. I'm like Georgie in the sense that. And like you said, no, Paul, like I think that maybe we need to see a little more, like maybe he'll turn it around. Like, okay, he did move up in weight. Like, let's see the next fight. But as far as him being the next big thing, like maybe not. I don't know. Like I did not expect that. Like that looked like a poor performance.
It could have been to the level of competition, right? I mean, who had the better
real good fighter? Because
I don't know. I mean, if you look
at
both,
the other guy better, bro. Whatever his name is.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I guess who knows.
I guess we could look at what they did at 168. Who had the better competition? I mean, yeah, Morrell probably looked better. Yeah, see, and then you come up to 175, and I think this is probably his biggest step up.
Yeah, good point. A good point. I mean, we'll see, man. But still, bro, like, where was the athleticism? Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I was shocked, bro. But you're right. a bigger opponent with some pop, and is formidable, yeah, maybe Morel's coming back down to earth. Okay, so Nando here has an answer for us. She says it was 22K capacity. They had the north section blocked off for their stages. There was only one half packed section. The rest was packed. Crowd had celebrities and boxers. Nice, man. Very nice. All right, let's breeze through these, man. Okay, Andy Cruz versus Moran. Georgie, what'd you think about this fight?
For his fifth or his fourth fight, it was good. It showed adversity. It's what you want to see in these younger guys. Better now than later on in his career. I mean, I graded him pretty good at that. Even though in the moment of him getting rocked, imagine if Moran had a follow up. Who knows what would have happened? And but I give him a good grade. I thought he did well. He was trying to get the guy out of there sooner than what Haney did, but same round. I mean, for his fifth fight, that was a good win.
No, Paul, what'd you think?
I just saw a little bit, when he got hit, and when he won the fight at the end. I was impressed with his post-fight interview. He's a humble dude, man. He didn't talk shit when he could have. I think he said the right things. That's about it, man. I'm not the best judge of how he fought or whatever, because I didn't see the whole thing on that one.
All right. Well, I was barbecuing.
Humble guy, though.
Yeah, I didn't have a chance to see it, man. But, well, good for Andy Cruz. All right. We saw it wasn't a big upset. Martin Bacoli was only a 2-1 underdog. So the odds were actually close to this fight, but he knocks out Jared Anderson in a surprise upset. Georgie, did you see this coming?
I'll be honest. I never really made a prediction. I just kept hearing a lot of people picking Bacoli against Anderson, and us. We've seen Anderson. We've had our opinions on Anderson in the group. I've always said I can't call him a bum yet. We don't know where he's at. I mean, it's showing a little more and more that maybe he just isn't equipped for boxing. Right? He doesn't have the mentality. He's been in trouble. He said it himself. Some things he said where he doesn't seem like he's taking it serious. But I was impressed with Bacoli. They said Bacoli's only loss was against Michael Hunter, when he was injured with a right arm. Love to see where Bacoli goes from here. He could be a problem.
No, Paul, what'd you think, man?
A big baby fight.
We're talking about yeah, exactly.
Oh, what?
Oh no, wait, we're talking about Jared Anderson versus Bacoli.
Yeah, because he's the real big baby, right?
Right. There's like a beef on yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know what. I never really liked that guy, Big Baby. I'm glad that he got his ass whooped. The reason why I don't like him is because they asked him a long time ago, and he said that he was in it just to make money. He didn't want to take any tough fights, shit like that. And I was just waiting for him to get his ass beat.
Well,
that's what happened. But I thought he did a good job, bro. To be honest, I thought he did an excellent job, bro. I thought that he hung in there as much as he could, and he actually impressed me. To be honest, as much shit as I don't like him, shit like that, I'm cool with him now, but he might be shot now. I don't know.
Yeah, because you know what? I think Jared Anderson, that bugged me too. And I thought it was kind of a sad testament to boxing that most say you're some big dude from some city. You're just going to decide to go make some money because you're willing to get in there. And, maybe you got some good genetics, but that makes you good enough to go and defeat former champions like Chris Martin. Like he did have some wins, right? I mean, but this was a step up. Anderson, I don't know, man. I don't want to say exposed, but I mean, he's fighting at the higher level now. He's got a chin problem. At first I thought he looked good, but I did think he was going to start slowing down. He's a big heavyweight, especially with his physique. You can't just keep moving around like that. And I think it got to him eventually, and then he just had nowhere to go. And he showed some heart, man. He really tried. He didn't quit like a bitch. You know what I mean? He went out there and he tried. But this other dude was just huge. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That dude mowed him down, man.
And you know what? Props to Bacoli. He seems like a nice guy. In his post-fight interview with his with his Congo accent, he seemed like a cool guy. I never heard him speak, but he looks all right to me. All right, so Andy Cruz versus Jarrell Miller. Georgie, what'd you think about this fight? Now, this fight was ruled a draw. A lot of people are screaming robbery. What do you think?
Yeah, Jarrell Miller won that fight. And it goes to show you can't have inactivity and expect to compete at a I'm not saying the highest level, but a higher level. Right. I mean, he's had some pretty questionable performances, right? Chris Arreola. I can't think of the other guy's name right now, but yeah, he has some pretty questionable performances. But this one right here, I said Miller. I thought Miller was going to win because he was a little more active, even though he lost against Dubois. He showed that he could take Dubois' best punches, and the only thing that stopped him in the Dubois fight was his conditioning. But he came in prepared. He had a better game plan, and he exposed why you have to stay active in the fight or stay active.
No, Paul, is it over for Andy Ruiz or what?
Well, you know, as soon as he got that big Snicker contract, you know, he turned himself into a straight up bum for reals, bro. I don't mind calling him a bum because he hasn't done much, bro. And you know, I was rooting for him after he did all that with AJ and all them. I really wanted some good stuff for his career, but the dude hasn't taken anything serious. So, and you know what? It looked kind of clear that there's no way he could even beat Miller because Miller's got a crazy ass chin. I don't think that Andy could hit him hard enough for that guy to go down. This dude's got a iron chin, and he was pushing him back the whole night, man. I mean, I don't think he can beat this guy, and I'm glad, man. I hope, you know, we don't need fighters like that, man. Damn Andy Ruiz.
Well, you know, Andy Ruiz, I feel like he's already kind of won in a way. You can't take away the fact that, and now we're actually, to kind of go back to whole, like, you know, Ken Berlanga be Puerto Rican. When Andy Ruiz won, right, the heavyweight championship, yeah, they said he's the first guy of Mexican descent, was flown into Mexico, right, to meet the president of Mexico, right? I mean, he was Mexican enough then, right? So he's already won, man. He's done great things. He's a unified champion. He might feel that hunger, but if he doesn't have it again, that's okay. Like, we see this weird round robin of like top 10 heavyweights. Like, they never go anywhere. They fight each other. So it's like, why are guys like Joe Joyce still around? Like, or you know, just other guys. What was that guy? Chisora. That's what I'm thinking of. Why the hell is Chisora still around? Like, these guys are so relevant because they didn't go anywhere. And then we start thinking that this is like some really cool division because these recycled top 10 fighters just keep staying there and fighting each other. It's just bizarre to me. Like, I think that division's a little overrated. Let's go to Pitbull Cruz versus Jose Valenzuela. Valenzuela wins. He's now the new champ. Georgie, did you score it that way?
Yeah, I thought he did enough. I thought he pulled this off. I don't know. Maybe the hype on Pitbull is over. I know a lot of people were behind him because of his fight against a one-handed Tank Davis, but maybe he goes back. I mean, he's still good. I mean, he still can do some things, just make some adjustments. You know, maybe somebody out there, maybe a coach out there sees what Isaac Cruz could do and help him a little bit, right? He definitely does a job. He's pretty predictable. And I think, of course, he's pretty short. You know, you had a Rayo, I think they say he's like 5'10" with like a 70-inch reach. And that was the only way I could see Rayo winning, was exactly the way he did, was box smart, you know, get on the angles and pivot. Because if he would have tried exchanging with Pitbull, that would have, you know, he definitely would have lost this one. But you know, shout out to Rayo. He has a good win. There's some fights he can go. There's fights that he can have there at 140 that would be pretty good. I would love to see Teofimo and Rayo at 140.
That'd be a good fight, bro. Nopa, what'd you think?
I was the one that thought that Rayo had zero chance of winning, bro. Yeah, maybe I did fall for the hype, but I still think fucking Pitbull's a freaking beast, bro. The only thing is he's just one of these fighters, kind of like Valdez. They hit a ceiling on how small they are, and you know, the guys that they're fighting are just got so many advantages over them, and it's good. You know, I guess that's just going to be the way it is for him. But there's still some good fights for him, for Pitbull.
Yeah, dude, I thought Pitbull, I always thought he was a little overrated, you know, but I've never really been behind him. But, you know, I guess I root for him here and there. Same with Valenzuela. It was fun to watch. I could just say I don't have a real strong opinion on the fight. I did think the right guy won. We're going to wrap this one up, and I want to give a warm thank you, man, to all our regulars came back. And it was great to see JC. Nando's in the house, 92 AKU, Remy, right? I mean, there's a lot of cool, like, we know you guys, man. We appreciate you coming back. We don't come back all the time. So we're happy to see you guys come back and kick it with us on a Sunday, man, and talk some boxing, man. We still talk boxing behind the scenes, man. We got an awesome little group chat, man. I love these guys. It's just hard to get it all together sometimes, but we're here, and I would at least like to commit to. We haven't really talked about the Canelo versus Berlanga fight in terms of a breakdown. Okay. Not that it needs much of a breakdown, but we might have an official preview show. I think that would be great. I think Georgie was right. I'm glad he threw that last show together when it was Canelo versus Munguia, because it is tradition, and if we're going to show up, we might as well do it when it counts, when Canelo fights. So, George, you got any last words, man?
No, man. I love, I love to come on and get on the mic in front of the cameras and talk some boxing. I've been mentioning it as many times as I can in our group chat. And sometimes, I get it. We're all busy. We all have our lives. And sometimes I get really itchy and just want to do it by myself or just get on live by myself. But I choose not to. I mean, I couldn't do it any other way than having you guys. Julian's not here. So,
I mean, that's how I feel. Like, I won't go on. Like, and that's the thing. Like, when we started this show, I inherited the show, right, from our homie. Nopal, what the hell is that guy? Why am I forgetting his name? Nopal, who did we inherit the show from?
A-Rod,
our homie A-Rod. El Chido Boxing, right? That's his name. Yeah. So, but, I only kept it going because they wanted to keep it going. And the only reason I keep it going is because my homies want to keep it going. George, man, just this guy come out of nowhere. Perfect addition. He gets along well with us. We love his opinions. So it's been great. I mean, this is the core right here, the three of us, we got special guests like Julian, Drew Evo, sometimes D-Style joins us too, you know what I mean? And, sometimes we'll have the pop in, which is great, man. Lil Penny, right? We appreciate all those people who come on, but we're all just doing our thing, man. Everything's cool, but we do, I'm still listening. Like, I listen to the YTBC, a lot of pedo out there, man. A lot of like fans that are wild. And then like, there's like the fan police people who like try to talk about everybody. There's people who are completely dependent on other people's like takes. But then I get mad about it. So I'm here listening. So who's the crazy one? Nopal, you got any final words, man?
Nah, I'm good, man. Hopefully we could do another one soon. George, it's nice talking to you, man. You're just you're a completely different person when you're on the chat than when you're on text, bro. This shit is pretty cool, man. Getting on here and talking boxing.
That's sure, right. Man. That's right. JC says dos mujeres, un camino.
Yeah,
all right.
Bronco.
Yeah, Johnny had some good problems. I wish I had those problems.
Did you see the one part where he was saying he wanted to whoop on George Lopez?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, because supposedly they got some kind of beef. That's funny, bro.
All right. Well, that's a whole side subject. Maybe for the next episode, we'll talk about that beef. If they're both Mexican enough. No, just kidding. All right, guys, we're out of here. Everybody enjoy the rest of your day. Peace.
Peace.
Oh.